rolling.
Tanya, you also worked as a teacher. Can you talk about your teaching career? How did you start, and how was your career as a teacher?
So I started teaching nursing students, and I did some ASL teaching also. So I taught nursing students in Pittsburgh for 5 years, and then I taught English to the locals in Costa Rica for probably about 3 months. So I love to teach. I love explaining things. It comes easy to me. I started teaching nursing students because I know the job so well, so I felt like I should share this information to help students become good nurses. So that's what I did. So I don't like to speak my whole class and lecture. I like an interactive class. So I will ask first I will show, if we're doing like a skill, first I'll show them a video, and then we'll talk about the skill, and then I'll have them do the skill. So like hands-on teaching, because I think things get retained in your memory and your mind better if you do hands-on, instead of me at the blackboard or at the podium just lecturing you, because I know when I'm being lectured, I'm not listening. I'm drawing pictures on my whatever. I know I'm supposed to be listening, but it's hard sometimes. You know, you're tired in class. So I feel like an interactive classroom is the best.
Can you describe your typical lessons? For example, how did you start? What did you do in the middle, at the end?
So at the start, of course, well, before I even started teaching, like no one really taught me how to teach, even though I knew the information really well. So I would go on YouTube videos and see how teachers start and end their classes. And also I shadowed a teacher at the school during her class to see what she did. So when I would get into my classroom, I would take roll call, make sure all the students were there. I would talk about the previous lessons briefly, and then I would start our new lesson. And then, like I said, I would ask if there's any questions. When I would write on the whiteboard or blackboard, whatever I write, I never erase till I ask the students, have you copied everything? Because it's rude to erase everything and somebody is in the middle, and I know some teachers do this, but I have learned this technique, which I thought was really great. A lot of times I would have in the middle, after I'm done lecturing, in the middle of the class, I will write questions on the board, and I'll have 2 students come up, and then I have them try to write down the answers. If they don't know the answers, I'll tell them, ask somebody from your class, can you help them answer that? So the other students might say, oh yes, I know the answer, you know, to get people thinking, you know. And I want to make sure that you understand the material. That's very important, especially in nursing. And then I end the class with a review, a summary of what we've done all day, and then also what you need to study for your homework and what is due next week. But I find it very effective in the middle to break it down and make sure, like I said, do question and answers to make sure everybody understands.
You also have TESOL. What can you say about TESOL? Is it useful?
I think so.
Do you recommend?
So when I did TESOL in Costa Rica, so we were teaching the locals English. We would do a scenario, like we just wouldn't do grammar. So so we would do a scenario like what to wear to work that day, or if you're at the grocery store, what are you going to get? What vegetables or fruits or food products are you getting at the grocery store? What are you going to say to the cashier? How do we do the money? How do we ask for help? So yeah, or we might do it.
It's practical, right?
Yeah, it's practical, definitely. So it's something that you're going to use. Or if you're going to the bank, what money are you going to bring to the bank? What transaction are you going to deposit money, take money out? What are you going to say to the teller? How are you going to fill out your little, script? How much money or how much money you're going to deposit? So we do scenarios that you can use practical in everyday situations. And I think that's interesting. And also, we would also start the class out. We would have a lesson plan where we would do an icebreaker, like do little activities like go around the room. What did you do yesterday? In English. Have the answers back in English. And then after we do the icebreaker, we might go around the room, what's your favorite color and how come? Or what's your favorite animal? Whatever, little things like that. And then we would have the lesson plan where it would be a dialogue of the day. We have I read it, and then I have the students each take a sentence and read it. And then any words that they don't know, we highlight yellow, and then we go over each one. And then after that, we put pictures on the board, and then we have like strips of words, and then we have people go up and match the words with the pictures. And again, we play a game with it too, so it's more interactive and interesting for the students.
I saw your lesson plans. They are really amazing. How did you learn creating such a beautiful...
So I had a lovely, wonderful teacher who actually, we went to Costa Rica, me and my daughter and my other daughter, we went to Costa Rica for 6 weeks, and she was an amazing teacher. She taught us all different techniques and things to do with the students that, even though I taught for 5 years, I've learned tips. It's when you see somebody else teach, for the most part, you pick up different things. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. And yeah, and that's enlightening to me, and I love that. It's great. Like she would do some of the things I learned from her also. Besides doing the picture with the words on the board, she would also she would write she would write like a paragraph, but she would leave words out that we studied that day. And students, she usually has 2 students, so there isn't so much pressure or embarrassment for the one student. So they'll go up there and she'll time them like, oh, you have 3 minutes to fill this out. And what words they miss, we ask the other students, hey, can you help them out? Or who knows, can go up to the board and do it. So, and like I said, and we play games with music and just keep it interesting.
How did you handle difficult students? You know, some students don't pay attention.
So I know I told you before, I had three sisters. They were like in their 50s, and the one was 60 years old. So there were 3 students. So the 60-year-old sister, she's like the show off little noodle. So when I would ask a question, she would say, oh, I know it. And I'm like, so I had to say to her, I said, I always say, Claudia, I know you know the answer. I said, let's ask your other sister. I said, let's let somebody else answer a question, because I know you know so much, and that's lovely. I said, but we have to make sure that everybody else learns too. Or if I have a student who keeps blurting out the words, same thing. I would say, you know what, we have to be kind to each other. I just remind you to be kind to each other, and I don't run my classroom that way, and we have to be cordial to everybody, courteous.
You know, sometimes students give questions that you don't know. What did you do in this kind of situation?
Well, here's the truth. So before I started teaching, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do if they answer me a question? So the best thing to do, so I would say, teacher, what's this? I said, oh, I know. I said, but you're going to look it up for me. And when you find out, you come back and tell me. And then we tell the whole class. So that's like 3 times they're learning. They're looking it up, they're telling me, and they're telling the class. So that'll be more memory for them. So act like you know, even though you don't. But it's easier, because if I just tell you, like if you say, teacher, I don't know, what's the weather outside or whatever. If I just tell you, it's easier, it's better for you to read and learn, you know what I mean? You will retain it better. And that's how I was taught too. And it used to be so frustrating for me. I would ask a question, go look it up. And I'm like, but then I would look it up, and then I would read it. So half the effort is reading, retaining, and then repeat it 2 more times. So I think that's effective.
There are a lot of young teachers in my channel. What kind of advice can you give for them?
So if you have children that are even teenagers, if you're teaching 18 or younger, especially younger grades, whenever I start my class, before we start, after I take roll call, whatever words we're doing that day, I'll say, like if we're doing colors or numbers, they like to show off. So I'll say, who knows how to count to 10 in English, or who knows, give me 10 colors. And you'll say, oh, teacher, I know, you know. And then after you say that, then you can add more into it. And I write them on the board, and then we each recite them. We say them over. And then we can incorporate them, put them into sentences too.
What about the advice?
I would just say, always be kind, always be respectful, but then they have to respect you also. But you have to set a tone for your class. If the students see that you are, I don't mean to say weak, but if the students think that you are weak, or because kids are manipulative, they think they can get over on you. So you have to start your classes. I start them matter-of-factly, very, not stern, but they know by the tone of my voice that please don't act up in my class, because I will ask you to leave. But I'm very kind. Like I don't like, so saying in the United States, and you might have it too, is don't mistake my kindness for weakness, because I don't like that, because that's taking advantage of me, definitely. Yeah. So you have to set your tone for your class, And I think I do that because I talk matter-of-factly anyway, and I like to hit my students with knowledge. Like, oh yeah, she knows what she's talking about, you know, so you hope so.
I observed some schools with special needs, for special needs, and I was amazed by the creativity of these schools because they decorated very well. Did you also decorate your classrooms?
No, I didn't. No, because I taught university, so we wouldn't do that. But kids with special needs are totally different. You really have to have patience with them and be repetitive, and you know, you really have to, especially life skills. Mostly kids with special needs, they do a lot of life skills, social activities, because they don't have that, you know what I mean? Or they might come from a home that, you know, the parents, it's just not a good home life, and they come into here and they have to see love and compassion, and you know, so yeah.
How much teachers can earn as a teacher here?
So I think they always complain. They always complain that their salary is low. But I think teachers, I want to say they start at $30 an hour. It might be less though, I'm not sure. But teachers get tenure here. I don't know if you know what tenure is.
No.
So when you have taught with a school or a university for 10 years, you get like a pension, automatic. You get like a pension, so you can quit teaching at I think 50 and then retire and then get like a pension.
What did you learn as a teacher?
What do you mean?
For your life. What did you learn as a teacher for your life?
Teaching, so I've been a nurse I was a nurse for about 30 years, and now I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm working on my second master's now. But so what I learned from teaching is things that I haven't done in a while. It reinforced and renewed for me. So it was a review for me, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. You know, so when we teach, because nursing is, there's so many things to learn. So when I would teach students, it would just reinforce what I learned and made it stronger, made my skill set stronger also. So it was kind of good. Like they were giving back, I was given, you know, it was just like a revolving door of learning new ideas, new techniques, and I really liked it. And I'm really good at organizing. Like I'm very, I can multitask, I can organize. Now, if you see me in my house, I'm always forgetting. I'm forgetting my keys or whatever. Things it's right in front of me. But when I have a task to do, I can organize in my mind. I can multitask really well. And also because I raised my children by myself, so as a single mother, I had to really organize everything. So I got good at that.
Did you feel job satisfaction from your job as a teacher?
I love teaching. The thing that I didn't like was I didn't like the I loved my job, but I didn't like some of the pettiness that went with it. Yeah, like for example, this is so dumb to me. So I was at a hospital where you weren't allowed to have you weren't allowed to carry like a cup of coffee on the floor. So instead of the manager telling me, oh hey, we don't do that, she reports me to the school, and I got called into the office for a cup of coffee. I'm like, I'm teaching the students, what's a cup of coffee? So it just turned into a big ordeal. I didn't like some of the pettiness, but that didn't happen until after the vice president left. So yeah, it was a shame because I really enjoyed teaching there. And the kids, I do better with inner city kids than kids who are rich, white, rich. It's like I can relate better to them because I was a city kid, so I get it. And I have a little bit of street smart. You can tell. So I'm very real, and you can very relatable, and you can relate to that. Kids who I taught at a college one time for one semester, the kids are white, very wealthy. They did not care. It was a very boring class for me. They didn't think I was funny, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so it was tough. I didn't like it.
How many students are there in U.S. classrooms?
So depends. You can have anywhere from, like, I would say 15 up to I think 40. I think.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, or at least but the class to me looked like the lecture size. You know what? No, we could have like 20, 30 kids. And the best thing to do for teachers, especially new teachers, like when you see 30, especially when you teach for the first time, it's all eyes are on you. So it is unnerving. You feel like you're being watched, because you kind of are, but you have to take control of your class and remember these are children, you are an adult, you know, and it's hard to remember that, but you have to really, especially when you're new at teaching. So, and some techniques are, if you have 40 kids, split them off in groups of split them up in groups of 10 or of 5 and give each, like, if you have 8 lessons, give each group and then go around the room. You know what I mean? And when they're done with that lesson, they can go to the next. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of can break it down.
How long is the duration of lessons?
Usually classroom time is, I would say, 1 to 3 hours maybe, depending on the class. Now, if I teach at the hospital, it'll be an 8-hour day. And we start the day, so if I have about 6 to 8 students at the hospital, we go to the unit where patients are sick. We will meet in a classroom first, and we will talk about the day, what I expect from you. And then we go out to the unit and you get your patient and then you do what you're supposed to do. But you have to keep coming back to me and telling me what's going on.
I'm really curious, and I asked some questions from US students at school, and I asked about their hobbies. One of them, none of them told reading as their hobbies. They usually cited watching movie, Netflix, and watching and playing video games. Do Americans read books?
So it's really sad. I mean, when I grew, computers didn't come out till I was 29. So when I was younger, I loved to read. I used to get lost in reading books. Even to this day, I love books. But yeah, it's like reading is a lost art now. It's like, oh, let me get on my tablet, or let me get on my phone, or let me play my video game. And yeah, it's really, technology is good, but it has really made American children obese, lazy, and a lot of people think they have attention deficit disorder. But I heard a man speak on the radio one time, because I listen to talk radio sometimes, and he said, I don't think people have attention deficit disorder, but people are addicted to their phones, and they're used to action. So when they have a quiet period, they're like, oh, I don't know, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm so used to instant gratification from watching things. So I mean, reading is so important. I mean, you learn so much. I mean, I love reading, but yeah, everything is, oh, let's watch a video, let's watch YouTube, let's watch TikTok, so I try to deter that.
Did you use videos on your lessons?
Just if I had, the only time I would use a video is if I had a skill that the student had to learn, so they can watch a video, and then, like I said, we would talk about it afterwards, and then I would have them do it.
I watched some lessons, especially for the kids, and the teacher was using a lot of videos. They were singing, they were dancing. So I also asked about this from you. Okay. Do you have something else to tell about teaching, about being a teacher?
I think, just like I said, you have to have control of your classroom, because I have worked with some teachers, even at the university, who say, oh, the students are so horrible, oh, they backtalk, they're not paying attention, but I will do this. Hey! I say, up here. I say, we're learning. And if I hear, what are you talking about? So you have to listen to me. And I said, please don't waste my time. Don't waste my time. Don't waste other students' time. People are paying a lot of money for this course. Plus, you have to learn. So you have to really control your classroom. Am I mean? No. But I tell you, whenever I start my class, a new year class, I always say, I go over the rules in my classroom. I'll say, I'm going to give you my number, which we're not supposed to do, but I say, when I give you my number, you can text me and tell me you're going to be late for class, or you need help with an assignment. Please do not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning to text me to tell me that your boyfriend is arguing with you, or that you're whatever personal problem. No, because I will block you. So I mean, I need you to tell me pertinent things, like important things. This is not for conversation. This is not. You have to keep. You can't be friends with the student. I would have to say that. So you have to be professor and student. You have to make that clear.
Thanks a lot for your great speech.
You're welcome. Anytime. My pleasure.
Thank you.